Hey everybody, it's Simply Super Dave coming at you with another episode of how to stay super in this crazy ass world we live in. And I'm coming to you from the boot state of Louisiana, here in these crazy United States, on this crazy planet spinning out of control in this crazy universe that we call life. Folks, I just want to get down to the nitty-gritty tonight. It is the end of April. We're coming into the last week of April. May is next week. That's right. Summer is really right around the bend, folks. We're in the middle of spring. A little chilly here today, but I like a nice cool breeze because I know during the summertime I'm going to miss days like this. I like to take time to stop and smell the roses. Just take a moment to look into the sky, look at the stars, look at the moon, look at the sun, look at the clouds. You know, we're living on a planet being just this tumultuous motion. Everything's in motion. The water, the air, you, everything. Just, it's a complete, interesting, big living thing. A big ball of energy. You know, a bubble. And right now, the energy in this planet is still the same. It's still mostly good. But there's a lot of evil out there. And I say the word evil very hesitantly because when I say evil, it sounds kind of hokey, right? Like nothing evil exists in the world today. I beg to differ. And I think in the podcast before, I think we've had an ambulance drive by, and in that moment I like to remind you that while you're doing whatever you're doing, somewhere right now someone's fighting for their life. Something so scary is happening to them that they don't know what to do. You know, life is like that. It's a complete, just the most amazing show of all time. You know, our movies, everything, books, everything that you have ever been entertained by has been brought to you and inspired by life to somebody or whatever. That is just the way it has always been, and it's the way it always will be. That's how life works. It's amazing. But let me get to the nitty gritty. I really wanted to do this podcast tonight to call out everybody. And well, at least the majority of people, obviously, because the way this country is running right now, and I'm talking about this beloved United States that I love so very much, I just have to call out everybody. Friends, family, enemies, people I don't know, people listen to the podcast that for the first time. By the way, I suggest you really go back and listen to it from episode 1. As I tend to try to not repeat topics over and over again, I do try to set a tone. And this is one of the tones. I like to call out people on things. And the thing I'm going to call out on people is people that dismiss other people based on their political views. And I say that because and I thought about this a lot, because if you put it into a race term. In other words, if you heard someone that's a Trump supporter, for example, say anything about Trump, and then you automatically dismiss and discount everything that person says, it's almost the same as if you were a white person and they were black and they started talking to you and you didn't care because they were black. It's the same thing. Okay? It's ignorance on a level that we don't need to have happening in our country right now. The political system is there for people of differences to come together to find a way to get things done. Not for one side to fucking win. And so when I say that, I hope people understand there is no fucking winner in politics, okay? It's a compromising situation because you have a country of mixed nations living together under one banner of freedom, okay, which is established early on to accompany everybody of difference, okay? So the fact that we're still fighting over even race issues is beyond me. Really, it is. I understand it exists, okay, folks? I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it is not a society-stopping issue, okay? Society has come across that, dealt with it. Now the people need to adjust to get their shit together, okay? So that falls on the people's shoulders. So let's bring this into the political spectrum of things, okay? The political spectrum, and the reason why I like to associate that to the race issue, is because both are hot topics, all right? And both are met with a lot of ignorance on someone's behalf. And to hear smart intellectual people that know a lot about their political system and their way of life, like a liberal, listening to a liberal about being a liberal is what I want to hear. Just as much as I like to hear a true conservative Republican, talk about their way of life and how they feel. Because a lot of it's the same. It really is. And a lot of the reason why they won't work together is because they're talking about issues that most of the time don't really apply to them. And I say that because when the end of the day comes, everybody wants the same thing. They just want it done differently. It's like going to Burger King and everybody wants a hamburger, but they want a different type of hamburger. Someone may want a double. Someone wants a single with no cheese. Someone wants extra cheese. The burger's done differently, but it's still a burger, and everybody gets one. And that's what our country is, okay? But to force everybody to have the same burger, or to say this is the best type burger, we should get rid of the rest. No, that will never work here. And if it's ever pushed onto us, we instantly reject it. Or at least hopefully a majority of us do. Even if you have nothing to do with it and you see it happening, you have to support the side of non-censorship. Or the side of equality and justice for all. Does everybody remember saying that pledge every morning? I mean, was it just false words to everybody else, or did you ever think about them? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And we have torn this country so apart that the flag of freedom to the whole world, not just to us, but to the whole world, we have torn it apart because of its history and what it's been through. Like it had a fucking choice. Imagine the flag as a child being born into the world and you getting blamed for the family you were born into. It happens. And I tell you, anybody that ever does that to anyone is an ignorant asshole. Okay? That's all it is to it. An ignorant asshole. And there's a lot of them of all colors. I don't care what nationality you're from. That is life. That is people. That is the connection that we all need to understand. That everything has good and evil in it. Just because it is a black issue doesn't make it better than a white issue. Issues are issues, and we can work those things out. Most of the time, they're not even black issues. They're just issues, but you're seeing them from how the black culture deals with it, or their perception on their own problems compared to people outside of the bubble. Like asking someone from New York how things are going down in Louisiana. They're not going to have a fucking clue. Just like I would have, no matter how many movies I've seen about New York, I have no fucking clue how to be a person on those streets and not stick out, not be a target. I mean, New York is one of the biggest cities in the world, which means it's also probably one of the most dangerous cities to be in the world. But that's life. That's what's amazing about it. And our political system here in America has broken down to where they have you so divided. I'm not getting on to you because you are a Republican or you are a Democrat, but your parties are broken. And it's up to you to keep your moral fibers and what you believe in those very parties to keep going forward, because they were founded on the very right things that made them as popular as they became. I mean, they were two parties that weren't our original two parties. We did have this kind of system before where we had a Federalist Party and a Whig Party, which was actually Republicans and Democrats together in one party. They were fighting against government-controlled political system, which was the Federalists. They believed everything should be government ran or, blah, blah, blah. But the Republicans and Democrats, a.k.a. the Whigs, were like, no, we need freedom. But here we are with two parties that worked together at one point in time. Flip sides in the country through the Civil War. At one point, the Democrats actually ran the South, and then the Republicans took over during the Civil War and then kind of flipped to the Democrats to the North. It's really an amazing history we have here in this country. So when you say the pledge and you say the flag, you're saying to something that's ever evolving. So the flag isn't what it was 100 years ago, 200 years ago, nearly 300 years ago. Nearly. We're still about 50 more years off from that. But still, 200 plus years ago, we're not that flag. We're today's flag. And so when you say the Pledge of Allegiance to that flag, you're saying it to yourself. You're an American. You have a responsibility to keep this country true and honorable to itself. To believe in what you know in your heart is good and not what is just right for you. Because when you do something that you feel in your heart is right for your family, but you know you might be doing some wrong to somebody, from their perspective, you're doing something wrong while they're doing something right. No matter what, from perspectives, right and wrong is a flippable thing. But good versus evil, that's not flippable. So sometimes what we think is good for us might be doing something wrong. That's being human. That's why we are sinners from the day we're born. We're going to do bad things. And what makes life redeemable is that we have a faith inside of us, an energy that we believe in, that we can always fix and make things better. To not have guilt or regret in our lives, because those are always fixable things. I know what you're saying. You're saying sometimes, like, if you did something to somebody, they're not around no more, they passed away or whatever. Look, you can always take care of things. You can't control how their response would have been anyway. But for you to do it for yourself, that is always the most important thing. So when you hear someone go, well, Trump this or Joe Biden that, don't dismiss what they're saying to you. Listen to them. Find the equality. Find the compassion. Now, here's the best advice I can give anybody. Because unfortunately, we don't live in a utopia where if you tried these techniques with people, they would actually work. There are people that are brick walls. Just walk away from those. Don't waste your energy or time trying to convince somebody you know that's already cemented in who they are and what they believe. The world's not perfect. You're not going to save everybody. But I really seriously, and throughout all these podcasts, have hopefully inspired some type of thought. And that when you talk to people, you bring up those kind of conversational topics, things that are important to you, political ideals that actually benefit who you are, that you believe in. Those are the type of things that I feel like we need to have those conversations, no matter how tough the subject matter might be. But I will say this. Life is what you make of it. No matter how crazy it is or whatever's going on, no matter if you're successful or if you're poor and a failure, you control the outcome of every day. You control how bad things happen. You control how you handle them. You control if they are going to destroy you or not. Life is what you make it. I can't stress that enough. So when you're saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and you start thinking, for some reason, for whatever reason, that you're convinced that we're 200 years ago, stop time traveling in your own head. We don't have time for fantasy time, okay? This is the today and the now. You're the best society that's ever existed, with everything pushing every way for equality, the right thing. But it's all being twisted. And you have to go back a couple episodes, maybe the last episode, for the AI conversation. But you got to stop, put down the phone, look around. The world is revolving around you. You're on it, and you're a part of the race. All I can say is, if you want to make the world better for yourself, that's where you start, is with the man in the mirror. A little Michael Jackson there for you. That's the song reference for the night. A little man in the mirror. Why not? Anyway, folks, all I wanted to point out is, if you dismiss what other people are saying, especially on the political front, that needs to stop. Stop trashing Republicans. Stop trashing Democrats. But I do urge both people of these parties that believe in the very foundations of why those parties exist to maybe move away. Or I don't know how you shell off a party and create. I don't know. That is fantasy thinking, I know. But it would be nice to see them working together more, rather than forcing and attacking each other for... I think one congressman made a very good point in saying that when there's cameras in the room, a lot of show is put on. And it's all for their own prestige and their own getting reelected and so forth and things like that. But when there's no cameras in the room, these people are just quiet and to the point and actually do their jobs. I just hate that our society has become more fake than anything else because of technology. But anyway, so next time you hear something that you just like, I'm going to dismiss this person, don't. That is the worst mistake you can make. But do walk away from those brick walls. Don't waste your time with those. Trying to figure out if they're one or the same, that's up to you. That's something you have to learn on your own. That's one of those conversational repertoire kind of things you can pick up along the way of talking to too many people. I am one of those recluses where I give you a good 10 minutes, but after that, I'm trying to get away. But I guarantee you in that 10 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about something that's pretty interesting. Something going on in the world, a little something maybe controversial, maybe something just to make you laugh. But that's what I try to do. I handle it moment by moment. I don't know who I'm going to run into every day. And I try to keep that number to as low as possible. Because that's just the way I roll. That's how I stay super. I keep things close-knit. I keep my bubble tight. I have to. I can't afford to blow it up too much. Anyway, folks, I hope everybody enjoys their last week of April, and we're getting down to the last 5 episodes of the podcast. So if you missed a lot of episodes, definitely jump back and start from the beginning. I certainly encourage that. And you'll definitely learn that if one thing I have to say, and I will always say it till the day I die, a little love and laughter can conquer a shit ton of hate and fear. Carry some in your pocket and be a conqueror. Don't be a victim.